The president's trying to use government power to punish private business because he didn't like some of the work they had been doing.
Private business aided government power in a fashion to destroy Donald Trump's life. You know, on our side, nobody in your world gets it, but our people believe that the Justice Department was used as a weapon to destroy Trump's campaign and his business interests and to ruin his family.
That's Republican Senator Lindsey Graham shutting down hysterical CBS host and internet meme Margaret Brennan over her recent Democrat-issued fear-mongering about President Trump. Welcome to Nerk News. I'm Nerkish, and now that all of the politically motivated legal attacks against President Trump have fallen apart, it looks like Democrats and their lackeys in establishment media have become deeply concerned about the corrupt prosecutors and judges responsible for manufacturing them in the first place. Which is funny given how quick they were to dismiss any claims of questionable actions taken against President Trump. Here's Margaret Brennan in disbelief after having cold water thrown on her hyperbolic ramblings.
This week, targeting some of the country's most prominent law firms, including Paul Weiss. He wants to restrict business activities of the firm, despite a federal judge ruling in a different case that it's unconstitutional. The president suspended security clearances at the firm. He stripped clearances from lawyers over at Covington and Burling as well because they were involved in representing former special counsel Jack Smith. Do you support this?
Yeah, I think all of these things. I think Jack Smith was politically motivated. I think the Russian hoax, a lot of people should have gone to jail and they didn't. I think the idea that President Trump was an agent of Russia was manufactured. The Steele dossier was based on lies and falsehoods coming from a source that said he never meant it to be used in the fashion it was used. They made up bogus charges and they proceeded in a fashion that was designed to destroy him politically and personally. I believe that. And if these people involved pay a price, they got nobody but themselves to blame.
You know, say what you want about Graham, but he's absolutely right here. And it's a little funny that Brennan is causing such a fuss over this because I don't recall her raising an eyebrow when Democrats and media figures were relishing in the idea of sending Trump to a prison and removing his Secret Service detail, or when Letitia James, a woman who ran on going after him, gloated on social media about her case and gleefully suggested she wanted to take Mar-a-Lago. I mean, if you can't see that there are a few questionable things regarding the legal inquiries into Trump over the past 10 years, you shouldn't be on the air. For crying out loud, even Jake Tapper can admit that, and he's on CNN.
Let's go back. We'll talk more about the government funding bill later in the show, but I have a legal panel here, so let's stick with this. Sochi, I want you to take a listen to this from President Trump.
We must be honest about the lies and abuses that have occurred within these walls. Unfortunately, in recent years, a corrupt group of hacks and radicals within the ranks of the American government obliterated the trust and goodwill built up over generations. They weaponized the vast powers of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies to try and thwart the will of the American people.
Now, you don't have to be, I know you disagree, you're shaking your head, you're going to get the mic in the sack. You don't have to be a member of MAGA to say, you know what, those Peter Strzok, Lisa Page texts were awful. There was FISA abuse. There was that weird thing with Carter Page. I don't know about that Alvin Bragg case where he basically invented a felony. You don't have to be a member of MAGA to look and say, you know what, he does have some legitimate grievances.
This isn't just some conspiracy theory. There was no weaponization. Donald Trump, the federal government believes that Donald Trump committed crimes. And Jack Smith said in his report that if he were not elected president, that he believes he would have been successful in these two cases. And so the reality is the only reason why he can go out now and claim weaponization is because he is president. They dropped the charges only because he was president. There is no other reason. Nobody acquitted him. There was no other reason that those charges were dropped other than the fact that the American people elected him.
I will just, so for people at home, Jim, I'm coming right to you. That for people at home, I should note, I was talking about the Russiagate investigation and the Alvin Bragg case, and you deftly switched it to the Jack Smith investigations.
It's absolutely funny how that woman says the federal government, as if that implies any sort of objectivity. I mean, the federal government under who? Who was in office when all of this was taking place? Sure, we don't know the shady details of every single case, but there certainly were some questionable things going on there. I mean, you had the Fani Willis and Nathan Wade connections, the bizarre legal window associated with the E. Jean Carroll case, and let's not forget the blatant hypocrisy over classified documents in the Jack Smith case. Heck, even the fact that he dropped it after Trump's win lends credibility to the argument that it was a politically timed hit job and not a valid legal pursuit. And I won't pretend that I know every small detail of these cases, but I do know that all of these things should have at least raised a few questions for anyone with a shred of journalistic integrity. But of course it didn't. Instead, all we got was downplaying concerns and more projection from Democrats and their establishment media puppets over how dangerous Trump is because he might weaponize the DOJ. But let me know what you think. What's the real reason for the lack of curiosity among journalists regarding Trump's legal troubles? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.